From the Great Hall of the Cox Convention Center in beautiful downtown Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma Heritage Association is proud to present the 87th Annual Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Tonight, we gather to celebrate the lives and accomplishments of 7 extraordinary Oklahomans with induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, our state's single highest honor. The 2014 Oklahoma Hall of Fame honorees are Harold T. Holden, Wanda Jackson, Neal McCaleb, Thomas H. McCasland Jr., Blake Shelton, Peggy Clark Stephenson, and Alfre Woodard. And featuring the Oklahoma Hall of Fame Orchestra under the direction of Jeff Kidwell. And now, brought back by popular demand, please welcome your Masters of Ceremonies for the evening, members of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Burns Hargis and Mike Turpin.
Good evening. We want to welcome our guests in attendance this evening, as well as our television audience, easy for me to say, in Oklahoma and, believe it or not, in neighboring states, to the 2014 Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Get ready, folks. And, thank you. And I'd like to say to Burns Hargis, another great night.
Just like election night.
Well, I have mixed emotions about election night, as you can imagine.
What are they?
Well, thanks to Barry Switzer and Wade Christensen, Mary Fallon got 4 more years. And I'm okay with that. She's never lost an election, Burns.
You know, Mike, we've done this now for 11 or 12 years. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
But things have changed a lot in the last year because you've become the chairman of the State Regents for Higher Education.
Yes, I have.
Which sort of makes you my boss.
I'm your boss.
Yeah. So I want to tell you that I take back everything I've ever said about you.
Well, thank you.
I mean, all the things I made fun of you and all the rest. No, you're smart, you're insightful, you're brave, you're strong, you're true.
Handsome?
Oh, yeah, handsome, too. Yeah,
there you go. Can you believe all this? I'm chairman of the Higher Ed Region, so I'm his boss. Does anybody believe that I'm his boss?
I know this stuff isn't great, but it's free.
Or David Bourne's boss. Hey, Blake Shelton's here, but where's...
Whoa.
But where's Adam Levine?
I know, we're missing half the act.
You guys fight like Hargis and I used to fight.
And Lee Allen Smith is here.
And it's Lee Allen Smith today. It's his birthday, and he told me he was at the very first Hall of Fame banquet.
He went into the Hall of Fame before we were a state. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Allen Smith, 85 years old.
Lee Allen Smith, stand up. It's true. Okay. Yeah, almost. Okay, wait. And also at that table, happy birthday to Nadia Comaneci. Yeah, that's right. That's the birthday table.
And Chuck Schroeder and Tom Love and Charlie Stevens. Oh,
and Joan Gilmore. I see you out there.
All right, we ready?
Yeah, we are ready. Go. Please.
So, we also realize...
It's not easy.
I know, it isn't easy being me. We do understand the commitment that makes tonight possible, and of course, it's not only the honor for the individual, but for all their families and their colleagues.
Burns, that's right, and tonight more than 1,000 people have gathered here in Oklahoma City to celebrate and pay tribute to the class of 2014. This class is yet another stellar example of Oklahomans making their mark in this great state, across the United States and around the whole world. Oh, pardon me. All right.
This really
First things first, Burns. How about introducing the youngest recording artist in the whole doggone room?
I can't wait.
Are you ready? Okay, you want to go to the podium?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Do I go to the podium?
Yeah.
Well, performing our national anthem this evening is a YouTube sensation with over 1 million hits for her rendition of Rollin' the Deep by Adele. She has appeared on The View, not The Voice yet, but The View, and also on the NBA postgame show with Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley. Try that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Olivia Kay.
So, Olivia, that was amazing. I look forward to saying, I knew you when. And now it's time for our first induction as we move right along. And this is fun for me to do here. Our first presenter was the 25th governor of our great state, is an award-winning, hear me now, believe me later, an award-winning children's author. I mean this sincerely. And a member of the Hall of Fame, but award-winning children's author. Who am I talking about? None other than Governor Frank Keating. Come on down. Welcome back. Frank to the building. A children's author.
I want to make sure he's far off the stage before I begin. Neal and I are up. Neal McCaleb and I are up. Neal and I have known each other for many, many years. We were legislators together in the 1970s. Those were the days when Republicans, they searched us out with their headlights on Saturday nights. Neal was the Republican leader of the State House. There were 25 out of 101. I was the Republican leader of the State Senate. There were 11 of us out of 48. And we had a blast. No one listened to us, but we had a blast. At the end of every week, our legislative session week, Neal and I decided that we should have a Republican press conference. So the two of us had a press conference, and no one came. I'm not kidding you. No one came. So we decided we would make it the Lone Ranger and Tonto show, and maybe someone would show up. Now, I'll let you decide who was the Lone Ranger and who was Tonto. The rest is history. Later, when I was governor and Neal was the secretary, the director of the Department of Transportation, we managed to get our Democratic friends in the legislature to pass a $1 billion highway improvement program, resulting in $955 million in new roads and bridges. We also completed the urban turnpikes in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, all of the urban turnpikes, at a cost of $800 million. It would now cost double that to complete. I was, I suppose, kind of the Dwight Eisenhower hopeful in Oklahoma, but Neal was the road builder. he got the work done. One of the major, and this is the first group we've really shared this with, unsung accomplishments of Neal's and my and our Tom Love's partnership in road building was the construction of the first high-tension median barrier on Hefner Parkway that experienced very high fatality rates from crossover accidents. In looking for an economical alternative to a concrete and unsightly median barrier, Neal and the ODOT traffic engineers discovered the Briffin barrier used effectively in England and Europe, but never in the United States. The Federal Highway Administration was reluctant to use a foreign-made product that at the time was proprietary. ODOT and Briffin started with a 1-mile research project here in Oklahoma, and it proved so successful that the Federal Highway Administration let us install the system for 7 miles along the Hefner Parkway. Guess what? Fatalities fell to 0 and stayed there. The bottom line was that Oklahoma was the vanguard, the first state of applying this new technology that has saved thousands of lives nationwide, as it is now a national standard. We here in Oklahoma have over 1,000 miles of life-saving median barriers installed in Oklahoma, those very same barriers.
Neal McCaleb grew up in Oklahoma City with his parents Bert and Zelma, siblings Nita, Marlon and Cubby, and every boy's best friend, the family's collie, Jolly Boy. He wrestled for Putnam City High School, graduating in 1953 before enrolling at Oklahoma A&M. Just 2 years later, McCaleb married Georgianne Whatoff. Today, they are the proud parents of 4 children and their spouses and have been renamed Mimi and Dad by their 13 grandchildren. While at Oklahoma A&M, McCaleb participated in a summer survey camp in Buena Vista, Colorado, and began the journey of following in his father's footsteps as a civil engineer. He founded McCaleb Engineering in 1961, and his first development, Edmonds Arrowhead Hills, became the benchmark for fine homes. More than 50 years later, he is still building. McCaleb served as Vice President of Oklahomans for Indian Opportunity and was appointed to the first Oklahoma Indian Affairs Commission by Governor Dewey Bartlett. He was elected to the Oklahoma House of Representatives in 1975, where he also served as Minority Leader. Following 8 years in the House, he was appointed by President Ronald Reagan to the Presidential Commission on Indian Reservation Economies to promote the development of a strong private sector on federally recognized Indian reservations. McCaleb was named the first Secretary of Transportation by Governor Henry Bellman while serving as the Director of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, later renamed to the post by Governor Frank Keating. During his administrations, the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority initiated and completed the urban turnpikes in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, as well as rural turnpikes in eastern and southern Oklahoma, and implemented the $800 million Highway Capital Improvement Program passed by the legislature and the Highway Beautification Program. Appointed by President George W. Bush and confirmed by the Senate, McCaleb was sworn in as Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Indian Affairs on July 4, 2001. As Assistant Secretary, he was responsible for overseeing the more than 56 million acres of property held in trust by the United States government for Native Americans. McCaleb, as both a civil engineer and public servant, celebrates growth throughout the state and the achievements of his fellow Oklahomans. From participating in the groundbreaking of the Chickasaw Indian Hospital and service on the Board of Regents at the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma in Chickasha, to dedications of the Portsmouth Council painting for the Senate chambers and the Guardian atop the completed dome at the Oklahoma State Capitol, he is true to his Oklahoma roots. Currently serving as the Ambassador at Large for the Chickasaw Nation, McCaleb considers it an honor serving others, a privilege in helping shape public policy, and is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for all Oklahomans.
Ladies and gentlemen, on your behalf, I am pleased to present for induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame my friend Neal McCaleb.
Thank you all very much for that warm welcome. And a very special thanks to the Oklahoma Heritage Foundation and my nominators. It's with deep appreciation that I accept this honor and recognition, which I value so much. I am surprised and humbled to share this stage with these other talented, highly talented Oklahomans who have national stature. I believe I'm a true Oklahoman. My mother was born in Indian Territory in the little community of Emmett, just south of Melbourne in the Chickasaw Nation. My father came to Oklahoma as a young civil engineer in 1921 to build the bridges over the unspanned rivers of this young state. I spent my adult career, he spent his adult career in the Oklahoma Highway Department, 47 years. I'm a person of modest ability who has done three things well. First and most important, I married the love of my life and life partner, George Ann. Our first date was on her 16th birthday, and she's held tight and pushed for 59 years of marriage. She has given me a lifetime of her encouragement and love. The second thing that I did that was important is I attended Oklahoma A&M College. Where I received a very useful education in civil engineering that provided me an excellent career opportunity. I was the last class of Aggies in 1957, and I graduated just as the planning and construction of the interstate highway system began. And it was a full employment program for civil engineers. Thirdly, I made an early career decision to look for opportunities in public service that would provide me with rewarding professional life in values that I cherish the most. George Ann and I raised a family of 4 who have given us 13 grandchildren. And these youngsters are my joy and legacy. Would you all please indulge your old doll and stand and be recognized? All of you. Our family's doing our best to get the Chickasaws back to fighting strength. My life has been indeed rewarding, having had the opportunity to serve in the planning and public improvements and policy at the local, state, federal level, and now at the tribal level. I've been concluding my career by being privileged to serve with the unconquered and unconquerable Chickasaw Nation. And there I'm privileged to work with highly motivated and accomplished public servants. My heart is truly full as I receive this coveted recognition. And I am glad that I was fortunate enough to be born and raised in the great state of Oklahoma. God bless each of you, and God bless Oklahoma.
Neal McCaleb. Our next presenter was just named Female Vocalist of the Year in the CMA Awards. In addition, she's earning awards for the Musical Event of the Year, the Single of the Year, and the Album of the Year. I'd say that's the full Monty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miranda Lambert.
Hello. I'm a little bit nervous. Talking to Wanda Jackson back there. I was so honored when they asked me to be here this evening to present Wanda Jackson, the Queen of Rockabilly, for induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. I followed her career and was completely starstruck the first time I met her. Here was a woman who in so many ways changed the way that audiences and record labels looked at female artists. She literally helped pave the way for me to do what I do and do what I love each and every day. Wanda attended high school just a few miles south of where we are right now. It was during this time that a dare led to one of the longest careers in music history. At 77, she's still performing, rolling out more than 200 dates a year. 200 dates a year. Holy crap. That's a lot. She has recorded each on its own and mixed up gospel, country, and rock and roll. If you know anything about Wanda Jackson, you know she's somewhat of a rebel. She likes to go against the grain a bit. Of course, I would know nothing about that. Her sexy, gravelly, and gritty voice was not stereotypical sound that labels were looking for, but she has pushed on, staying true to herself and the music she wanted to perform. While her fellow female performers were wearing long floor-length skirts, she was performing in short skirts and high heels. Wanda and I do have something else in common. We both have pretty awesome husbands. Yes. For more than 50 years, Wendell has shared and managed Wanda's career, and they have done it all right here in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's only member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Wanda Jackson, has been entertaining country and rock fans with her chart-topping hits for more than 60 years. Born in Maud, except for a stint during the Great Depression when she moved with her parents to California, the Sooner State has been her home. By the age of 6, she was playing the guitar, many nights alongside her fiddle-playing father. Her playing made her popular in elementary, junior high, and high school. While at Capitol Hill High School, she was named Band Queen and entered a talent contest on a dare, winning first place, and a 15-minute radio show on KLPR for 1 month. The show lasted 2 years. Hank Thompson heard Jackson sing on the show and invited her to perform with his band. After receiving permission from her mother, Jackson played with Thompson in Oklahoma City's Trianon Ballroom on Saturday nights. A lifelong friendship developed between Jackson and her mentor. Upon high school graduation, Jackson had recorded a number of songs for Decca Records. You Can't Have My Love, her first single with Decca, became a top 10 hit on Billboard magazine's most played country and western in jukeboxes chart. Despite her hectic schedule, Jackson attended her senior prom in a dress she designed. Her mother, an accomplished seamstress, brought her drawings to life. It was through a Memphis booking agency that she first performed with a young Elvis Presley. He encouraged her to sing his kind of music, known today as rock and roll. She was the first female to record the genre and soon earned the title Queen of Rockabilly. Signing in 1956, her relationship with Capitol Records lasted nearly 20 years. She recorded a number of country and rock and roll hits and formed her own band, the Party Timers. It was during this time Jackson met Wendell Goodman, an IBM supervisor for an Oklahoma oil company. He was dating her friend, country music star Norma Jean. Later, Jackson and Goodman began dating and married 9 months later. Although managing her career from Nashville, Hollywood, or New York City would have been a good career move, they stayed in Oklahoma to ensure their children, Gina and Greg, would have strong relationships with grandparents and extended family. Jackson has recorded in German, Dutch, and Japanese. Santo Domingo, recorded in Germany in 1965, shot to #1 on the German charts and several surrounding countries, the equivalent of a million seller in the U.S. During her career, Jackson has shared the stage with a diverse range of talent, including Norma Jean and Bob Hope, Carl Perkins, and the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, Brenda Lee and Ray Price, fellow Oklahomans Reba McEntire and Roger Miller, and Jack White of White Stripes, who recently produced Jackson's album, The Party Ain't Over. Jackson's hometown of Maud has honored her with the annual Wanda Jackson Day, and the renaming of Main Street as Wanda Jackson Boulevard. She also was awarded the National Endowment for the Arts Award. Oklahoma gave the world Wanda Jackson. In return, Wanda Jackson gave rockabilly to the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the queen of rockabilly herself, Miss Wanda Jackson.
Oh, I like that song. Keep playing. We could clear the tables out and dance. Mighty fine band over there. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. A standing ovation from the people of your home. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I still can hardly believe that to present me tonight, that the most popular woman in country music came all the way here, Miranda Lambert. What a cutie. You've heard her sing. She sounds like an Okie. Actually, I know that she was born in Texas, but Blake, you got her out of that situation and brought her to Oklahoma. So now, don't forget, she is an OIT, Oklahoma Improved Texan. Oh, what fun this evening has been to get to say hello to so many of you folks that I've met before and some I hadn't. So thank you so much. And once again, Miranda being here, she just broke the record. She picked up the CMA Award for the Best Female Country Singer of 2014. 5 consecutive years in a row. You go, girl. That girl will go, so you better hang on, Blake. I'm just glad I'm not on your team. You're tough. Well, I love all of you, and I thank you so much for a very prestigious award that you're presenting me with tonight. And I've been wanting one of these. No diamonds in them. What's the deal? Work on that. In case any of you might be considering foot surgery, let me give you just one little word of advice. Don't do it. It's awful. So I got to ride part way, and Miranda will help me the rest of the way. But thank you so much, the Hall of Fame Association and the Oklahoma Heritage. I can't say all that. Hall of Fame Association, okay. But to be mentioned even, much less be a part of such an elite group as you people were as you stood a while ago, I thought, what am I doing here? You wondering that too, Blake? No. Well, that threw me. Well, I love you anyway. So what a fun night, and thank you so much for just letting me be here and enjoy it. So this is my first night out for 2 or 3 months now with this foot, so I'm enjoying myself, and you do the same. Lord bless all of you. Thank you.
What a night. It proves once again that Oklahoma is the state of soil, oil, toil, and rockabilly. I just made that up. Okay. And speaking of country and western, Chuck Schroeder is the former president of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum and founding CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. He was recently named founding executive director of the University of Nebraska Rural Futures Institute. Please welcome Chuck Schroeder.
Thank you, Mike. The Cowboys are in the house, and I'm happy to be speaking for them tonight. You know, it's amazing. It wasn't very long ago I thought the next remarks that I would be preparing regarding my pal H. Holden would be some slight prevarications about what a nice guy he was, to be delivered in a dark suit as we mourned his passing. Here we are. One of the most talented, respected, and in spite of his orneriness, beloved artists of the American West appeared headed toward his last roundup on a long trot. The inevitable seemed quite clear, in spite of all the prayers and all the hopes that we could throw in its face. But you know, the Lord was listening, and the team at Integris was working. And they were working together to bring about a different, perhaps miraculous outcome that would render our somber expectations for H timid and quite wrong. We're blessed tonight to be able to say nice things about that old grouch with the twinkling eyes and the very gifted fingers from Kremlin, Oklahoma, as he breathes freely, as he hears fully what we have to say about him, and believe me, I'm thankful, as I know many of you are. You know, jazz great Charlie Parker once said, if you ain't lived it, it can't come out your horn. Well, H is a cowboy artist, and he is a darn sure cowboy. He rides good horses, he can gather your cows, he can rope a steer, he can cuss the dog with the best of them. So it's with little wonder that you can feel the August sun, or you can feel the November wind, or you can smell the dust, or the campfire smoke, or hear the snort of a bronc, or the cow bawling for a calf in his work. You can feel the blessing of rain in your face, the pride of a family clinging courageously to the land. These are the powerful stories of our people and our place in the American West that people generations hence will one day view and they will understand, because Harold T. Holden shared his heart through his hands. You know, Oklahoma, our adopted home, has a wonderful history of producing painters and sculptors and singers and songwriters and dancers and choreographers and actors and producers and playwrights, the very finest of which have won the acclaim of audiences around the world. We've seen them on this stage over the years. But I would offer tonight that when it comes to the account of our culture, when it comes to the sharing of the grand fiber that our people have provided to the fabric of American value and American achievements, Oklahoma has spawned no greater creative genius than that of Harold T., the world all calls him H, Holden.
Harold Tweed Holden has been a cowboy from the start. Born and raised in Enid, at age 5, he took first place in the Cherokee Strip Days Parade. Known as H, his love of horses came from his father, an avid horseman, and his love of art came from his grandfather. H attended Oklahoma State University and the Texas Academy of Art, earning his art degree and entering the commercial art field. During the evenings, however, he focused on his first love, painting and sculpting the West. After a tour in the United States Navy, he returned home to Oklahoma and began his career as a full-time artist. Collectors began taking notice, and in 1987, he completed his first monument. Boomer was the first in a series depicting the history of the Cherokee Strip and was chosen for a United States postage stamp. Subsequent monuments by the self-taught sculptor include Oklahoma's native son at Will Rogers World Airport, Crossing the Red in Altus, Heading to the Market at the Oklahoma City Stockyards, the Homesteaders at the Cherokee Strip Regional Heritage Center in Enid, Edward L. Gaylord at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, and Deputy Marshal Bass Reeves in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Northwestern Oklahoma State University is one of several universities where maquettes of H's monuments have been sold to increase their endowments. His Thank You, Lord, gracing the grounds of Emmanuel Baptist Church in Enid and Integris Baptist Medical Center in Oklahoma City is a show of gratitude to his church family after his diagnosis of a fatal lung disease and to the Nazi Zudi Transplant Institute following his successful lung transplant. H's largest paintings hang in the Oklahoma State Capitol. Art shows include the Prix de West and a one-man show at the Gaylord Pickens Museum. Honors include the Governor's Arts Award and being named Artist of the Year by the Academy of Western Artists. His life has been spent getting horseback as often as possible with friends, raising and racing quarter horses, connecting with lifelong friends, traveling with family, participating in commemorative cattle drives, helping with brandings, roping with friends and family, enjoying his grandchildren, and riding with wife Edna May. In all he does, Harold Holden stays close to the cowboy way of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present to you for induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Harold T. H. Holden.
Like a piker after this bunch. Thank you, Chuck, for, where'd he go? Thank you, Chuck, for kind words, more than kind words, and thank you, Kathy, for bringing him back to Oklahoma temporarily. The music we just heard, I like very much because my wife wrote it. By the way, in addition to being a great speaker, which I'm not, but, Chuck is also a world-class, he's actually a world champion team roper. Probably didn't know that about him. But unlike Chuck, I'm neither one. Fear of public speaking. But Edna May told me not to worry. Everyone is coming to see your fellow inductees. Made me feel a lot better. Let's see. Oklahomans, they've been very generous to me. Ken Ferguson, many others in this room. I want to thank you for your friendship and all your support. I appreciate everyone coming, even my homeboys. They got in tuxes. And thanks also to all my cowboy friends that came. And I'm just grateful to God that I have a second chance to, at life, to be here. And also I want to thank Dr. Zudi's Transplant Center, and my surgeon, Dr. Canale, and Dr. Whitson, and our pastor and big game photographer, Wade Burleson. See, my parents and grandparents instilled in me a love of art, horses, and the West. And some of my family encouraged me over the years, and I want to recognize my sisters, Katie and Merlane. They're here. My much older brother, Tim. You like that. My Uncle Kenneth's here, only uncle we got left, and Ian's brother Bill, and a lot of their families are here. Thank them for coming. For whatever I've achieved, I'm most proud of my son Tim, a great artist, my beautiful daughter Shannon, her husband Marty, my grandson Peyton, who's a duck hunter extraordinaire, and my wonderful dancer granddaughter Morgan. They're the light of my life, and I want them to stand up so I can show them off. I did say they're the light of my life, but the love of my life, Edna May, she has many titles. She's a wife, a mammy, a songwriter, attorney, lifesaver, on, and I'm very fortunate that she's my wife. I love you. Finally, I want to thank the Heritage Association for this. I was going to say I don't feel I deserve this recognition, but Dr. Zudi said he'd chime me down if I said that. But I'm very honored, and thank you.
Our next presenter was the first woman trustee of the Oklahoma Bar Foundation, a civic leader, an educator, a former judge, and a member of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite Boren, Molly Shy.
It all started in Antlers, Oklahoma, where Peggy Clark and Charlie Stephenson started dating in high school. Charlie told me that he and his best friend had decided to go out on a double date to the movies with two girls, both named Peggy. I'm not sure what transpired that night, but the next day, Charlie and his friend compared notes, and each agreed that the other Peggy was more suited to him. It turned out to be a wise decision because each ended up marrying the other Peggy. And both marriages have been long and happy. In fact, the other Peggy and her husband are with us tonight. Peggy Clark Stephenson has never forgotten where she came from. She maintains close ties to her hometown and to her childhood friends. She remembers her own struggles in Antlers and the struggles of others she knew. Peggy and Charlie Stephenson were married 56 years ago when he was a junior at the University of Oklahoma. Peggy worked to help put Charlie through school at OU, and in the process became a huge OU football fan. Anyone who has sat near her during a game knows she really understands football. That is no accident. She was taught by the master, Bud Wilkinson, who taught a class to wives of students on how to watch football. Peggy's love for her family has been constant and unconditional. Her 2 children, Cindy and Steve, and 6 grandchildren have all felt her love and care. As they moved from town to town during Charlie's early work in the oil fields, she made a welcoming home for her family in each of the more than 10 towns where they lived. Cindy said that Friday night was always date night for her parents, and she loved watching Peggy get dressed up to go out. Cindy said she remembered always thinking how beautiful and wonderful her mother was and how she hoped to be just like her someday. And she said she still does. Peggy Clark Stephenson has a heart as big as all of Oklahoma. Her love and care for others have defined her life. That is why she volunteers virtually full-time to help others. At the Stephenson Cancer Center, she and Charlie have not just given their resources. As a cancer survivor herself, Peggy wants to make sure patients' needs come first. She frequently visits with patients personally, and her visits are unscheduled and spontaneous. I personally have witnessed her laugh and cry with patients. She gives them both hope and strength. Her church, First Presbyterian of Tulsa, the Red Cross, the American Cancer Society, the Girl Scouts, and too many others too numerous to mention, have all been touched by her passion to help others. Peggy is a serious student of genealogy and works closely with the Oklahoma Genealogy Society and the Tulsa Historical Society. She also loves gardens and has helped fund and maintain several beautiful ones, including the garden at the Stephenson Cancer Center, which provides a healing garden for patients and family, the garden at the Stephenson Technology Center in Norman, and the Vintage Gardens and the Five Moons Native American Bronze Ballerinas area in Tulsa. With Peggy Clark Stephenson, everything begins and ends with her love and concern for others.
Peggy Clark was raised in Antlers, Oklahoma, along with her 2 brothers, where she attended Brantley Elementary School and Antlers High School. This is also where she began dating future husband Charlie Stephenson, attending the University of Oklahoma ROTC dance with him in her sophomore year. During high school, she cheered for the Antlers Bearcats, was named Miss Pushmataha 1955, and voted football queen by her peers her senior year. Peggy and Charlie were married his junior year at OU, and with their son Steve and daughter Cindy, they made several moves. Returning home to Oklahoma in Tulsa, Peggy with friends welcomed Miss America 1969, Judy Ford. Peggy, alongside her husband, began volunteering and supporting worthy causes in Tulsa, and today serves as the executive director of the Charles and Peggy Stephenson Family Foundation. From support for the Indian Nations Council of Boy Scouts and the dedication of the Stephenson Hall College of Engineering at the University of Tulsa, where the university surprised her by flying in some of the grandchildren to celebrate, to the First Presbyterian Church, where the family matched every gift from the congregation, the Stephensons are invested in their community. The Stephenson Research and Technology Center on the University of Oklahoma campus was dedicated in 2002, followed by the Stephenson Life Science Center in 2007. The Stephenson Cancer Center on the campus of the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center was dedicated in 2011, and the Peggy Stephenson Healing Garden offers a tranquil escape for patients and their families. Peggy has received numerous awards and accolades for her efforts, including receiving her Doctor of Humane Letters from the University of Oklahoma. However, it is her family that gives her the greatest pride and sense of accomplishment. Sharing the blessing and adventure of family with her husband, they renewed their vows on their 50th wedding anniversary before taking the Stephenson clan to Hawaii to celebrate as a family. She has never taken for granted the time shared with friends here on Kentucky Derby Day, and she enjoys time for herself on the beach and a good game of cards. And she is grateful for her partner in life, a young man from Antlers, Oklahoma, who asked her to be his bride and become Peggy Clark Stephenson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present your newest member of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Peggy Clark Stephenson.
Thank you, Molly, for that kind introduction. Scoot that chair over. That stool. My, what an exciting life I've had, and tonight is the very best. So thank you. Who would have thought a little girl from Antlers, Oklahoma, would be getting an award like this? Let me tell you a story about growing up in Antlers and being raised by a single mom and grandmother. We had lots of love, but not many material things. My grandmother was a great influence on me, as my mother worked as a waitress. Charlie and I met in high school, but not really. We met at a birthday dance when I was 14. Of course, he didn't notice me then, but about 2 years later, I was walking across the street in hot pink shorts, and he took notice then, asking a friend who I was, and that began a lifelong friendship and love for each other. I knew I didn't have money to attend college, so away I went to the big city of Dallas. I worked for AT&T Telephone Company, and I was one of the voices that said, I asked for your number with a please. Well, transferring from Dallas to Oklahoma City while living at the YWCA, we became engaged and married. We moved many times in the oil industry, and in 1969, we moved to Tulsa and have made Tulsa our home ever since. When Charlie and I began our family foundation, we never dreamed we'd have the opportunity to partner with such wonderful people and organizations. Sometimes opportunity presents themselves that gives you a way to give back in a very special way. 19 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And going through this, you quickly learn what is most important in life. 4 years ago, we had the opportunity to help others by funding the Stephenson Cancer Center here in Oklahoma City. It has been the most rewarding experience to be associated with the Cancer Center. And in closing, I will say, from those whom God gives much, He expects much. We all long for love and to be loved. So thank you, Charlie, my children, grandchildren, family, and friends. What more can you ask for? Thank you, and blessings to each of you.
Kathy and Judy. Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing night so far, right? Okay. Take it away, Burns.
Finally, you're right.
Finally.
See, it even says, that's right, Mike.
Yeah.
And now to introduce our Ambassador of Goodwill. Linda Kavanaugh is a member of the Oklahoma Broadcasting Hall of Fame, the Oklahoma Journalism Hall of Fame, and was inducted as, quote, one of the most distinguished journalists in the history of our state. Her reporting skills have earned her over 30 national awards and over 60 state and regional awards. Her career is marked by a number of historic firsts. For example, she was the first female co-anchor of the evening news on Channel 4 in Oklahoma City.
Yep. And Burrs and I call television a talking piece of furniture, right? All right. She was the first American journalist after the Vietnam War ended to be allowed in the infamous Hanoi Hilton prisoner of war camp. She also was the first non-network American journalist from the United States permitted in the Soviet Union under the country's new glasnost policy. And in the early 90s, she became the first journalist to record ancient Indian rituals that had been closed to all but Oklahoma tribal members. Her resulting 12-part series, Strangers in Their Own Land, brought a sense of understanding to Oklahoma's Indian tribes. Her documentary was later recognized with Sigma Delta Chi's National Distinguished Service Award, as well as 10 other national awards. Burns.
Linda is Phi Beta Kappa graduate from the University of Oklahoma. She lives in Oklahoma City with her husband, Will. Ladies and gentlemen, our Ambassador of Goodwill, Linda Kavanaugh.
Come on down, Linda.
Well, thank you so very much for this. And Wanda, I'm taking a look, but I see no diamonds in this either. But I am very, very grateful. You know, being an ambassador, I feel a little bit not qualified to do that because for 37 years I've told the stories of Oklahoma people, and they really are our ambassadors to the nation and to the world. Whether you go from the Dust Bowl to the Oklahoma City bombing to the 2013 tornadoes, what people see on television about our Oklahoma people, they are the ambassadors to the world that show our courage and our strength and the grit that makes us somehow special, because we are very special. People are always moving into the state of Oklahoma and they say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's the people. And it's the people here that make us so wonderful. And it's the experiences you have getting to know those people that make it so much fun. They were kind enough to mention the Strangers in Their Own Land series that I did. And we always learn something as we do these documentaries and these series. And I was told before we started this that if I was invited to dance at a powwow, that it would be impolite not to do that. But I can't dance at all. My husband can tell you that. I can't dance at all. And so we were at a powwow, and it was a huge arena. And an elder asked me to dance. And I said, I'm very honored. I'll be happy to dance, but I have no rhythm. I don't know how to dance. He said, just watch the person in front of you. I said, okay. So there was an Indian princess in front of me, and she was beautiful, and an elder with her, and the drums started. And so they were in front of us, and then there was me, and then behind us a whole line of people. So the drum starts, and she walks like this. And so I think, oh my gosh, this is fairly easy. And so the drums continue, and I walk like this just exactly like she does. And we do this for about 5 minutes around this arena. And suddenly the drums stop, and she turns around to shake my hand, and I shake her hand. And she walks off like this. She had on full regalia that I couldn't see that she had a broken leg. So I was limping around the arena after her. So we always learn, don't we? I mean, there's always something out there waiting for us. But if you'll allow me, I'll accept this award on behalf of the people of Oklahoma, who are the true ambassadors of this state. I am merely the storyteller. Thank you so much.
Linda Kavanaugh, K4. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Gene Rainbow founded Bank First in 1989. Today, it is the largest state-chartered bank in Oklahoma. A member of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, he strives to improve health, education, access to capital, and Oklahoma's infrastructure system. Gene Rainbow once told me that longevity is a good ally. Please welcome one of the most generous men I know, Gene Rainbow.
In very few words, I must convey to you why Tom McCasland Jr.'s name should be inscribed in the halls of this august organization. Tom is a friend and associate, and he should be introduced tonight by presidents and governors, but he gave me the privilege, and I do very much appreciate it. We discussed my remarks, and Tom was very emphatic about telling you that his efforts were not singular, that his late brother-in-law, Jack Maurer, and Tom and Phyllis's children, and Jack and Mary Frances' children were very much a team and part of his accomplishments. And I would say that it's very much like that old African proverb, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with the team. And Tom certainly has traveled with the team and giving them credit. A synthesis of early philosophers, including Socrates, Moses, Jesus, and Buddha, conclude that there are four basic characteristics of a leader. The first is wisdom. The second is justice, meaning fairness. The third is courage. And the fourth is balance. And Tom McCasland certainly defines those characteristics of leadership. In the video, you will see the companies that Tom Jr. and his team have built, founded, and they were leaders in every aspect of the oil industry: production, supplies, drilling, marketing, and in the banking industry, he and his team built the most respected and largest bank in southern Oklahoma. I vehemently reject Milton Friedman's theory that maximizing profit is the principal and the only responsibility of business. I think that what we do is much more important in the impact on society, on the impact on its people, its institutions, and their future that best define our legacy. And following Tom and his legacy, it's incredible that he and his team have given 800 students scholarships to college, with 600 of those scholarships being full ride. If you want to have an impact on changing society, that certainly is the way to do it. The town of Duncan has benefited mightily from not only Tom's treasure, but his leadership in the incredibly successful hospital, the Simmons Center, and the Chisholm Trail Museum that they have built in Duncan. So it is very substantial. Every aspect of the higher education system has been, in both public and private, has been beneficiaries of Tom and his team's contributions. And in fact, his alma mater, the University of Oklahoma, could well be called McCasland University. So I've told you of Tom's and the family's contributions, so many of the students, which I think is their most a very important contribution. But in the long run, Tom founded an organization called Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, an organization that currently has $100 million in assets and I'm convinced is well on the way to $1 billion, and that will be Tom's greatest legacy to Oklahoma and its people. With Tom Jr. as a role model, the heritage of a pioneer great-grandfather and a grandfather who's a member of the Hall of Fame, the children of Tom Jr. And Phyllis and of Jack and Mary Frances are certain to continue the multi-generational legacy of the McCasland family. And I have absolutely no doubt that the river of generosity of that family will become a torrent.
Thomas H. McCasland Jr. was born and raised in Duncan with his sister Mary Frances. A child of the Depression, he remembers making his own toys, creating games and scouting, participating in a geological field camp at Philmont Scout Ranch as part of his early career plan. He played basketball, football, and ran track for the Duncan Demons with lifelong friend and business partner Tommy Jones before graduating high school in 1951. Enrolling at the University of Oklahoma, McCasland became active in campus and social life. His college roommate Phyllis Bell and Sue Stokes, now Bell's wife, introduced him to Phyllis Ann Hahn. Phyllis became Mrs. McCasland in January 1956 in her hometown of Blackwell. As CEO of the NROTC unit his senior year, and upon his graduation with a petroleum engineering degree, McCasland completed his 2-year naval commitment in Guam before he and Phyllis returned to Duncan. A year later, Tommy was born, and Mark followed 14 months later. McCasland was an active father, serving as assistant pack leader for his sons as Cubs, assistant scoutmaster as Boy Scouts, and celebrated their Eagle Scout ranking. The family has grown to include daughter-in-laws Monica and Candy, and 5 amazing grandchildren. Upon McCasland's return to Duncan, he began his career as an engineer before entering the contract drilling business full-time as Thomas Drilling Company. At the time of his official retirement, nearly 40 years later, he was leading his father's companies, Mac Oil and M&M Supply, and newer ventures, Mac Energy, Thomas Drilling Company, Interwest Trading Company, McCasland Farms, and Amquest Bank, among others. As chairman and trustee of the family's McCasland Foundation, he was active in organizing Duncan Regional Hospital, the Simmons Center, and the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center, where he and Phyllis conceived the idea for the center's sculpture on the Chisholm Trail. McCasland is grateful for the friends in his life, and spending time with them has been important. In 1988, he and Phyllis took the trip of a lifetime, around the world on the Concorde, 7 countries in 21 days. Today, they split their time between Duncan and Dallas. They enjoy showing off their Cocker Spaniel Bandit and have added the Dallas Arboretum and the Dallas Opera to the many organizations and causes they actively support. Even in retirement, Thomas H. McCasland Jr. is giving back.
And with great pride, respect, and friendship, I present Thomas McCasland Jr. for induction into the Hall of Fame.
When God decided to put me on this earth, one of the things he also decided to do was shower me with blessings. First of all, he placed me in Duncan, Oklahoma, where I could learn independence, make lifelong friends, and develop broad life skills. He gave me grandparents to give me a sense of history and place. My mother and my aunts taught me right from wrong, and an appreciation for the arts and music. He gave me a sister to love and admire, and she plowed away from me as I was growing up, and she set the bar high. He gave me fathers and uncles to teach me responsibility, And they put a shovel in my hand before I was a teenager so that I knew what it was to work and sweat. And then he gave me Phyllis, who I loved from the day I met her. She was perfect for me. She had the talent that I lacked, and she gave me another family to call my own. And she gave me 2 talented sons, of which I am so proud. And they brought me 2 daughters to love and 5 grandchildren to be proud of. My father was also an Oklahoma Hall of Fame member. In young days, he was a scholar and an athlete. He was a smart businessman, and he had something else, what he liked to call the McCasland luck, which he passed down to me. He started teaching me the oil business before I was a teen, and I always knew where my place was to be. My sister's husband, Jack Maurer, became my partner and friend. And her talented family, along with my sons, gave us the great leadership that's needed to expand the family enterprise. And we had a little bit of that McCasland luck. And I got a lot of the credit. But I have to tell you that the reality is it was those young family members, along with the many loyal employees of Mac Energy Company that I call friends, that were there to make it happen. There are well-wishers here from New York, Washington, California, Arizona, Missouri, Texas, and Oklahoma. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Oklahoma Heritage Association, for this great honor. And thank all of you all for being here. Thank you.
Pat Conley retired earlier this year as the City of Tulsa's budget director and was never indicted. He held that post for 19 years and was recently appointed by the mayor and the city council of the great city of Tulsa as the authority for the recovery of energy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pat Conley.
Alfre and I became friends as students at Bishop Kelly's High School in 1967. It was not long afterwards presidential candidate George Wallace rolled into town for a rally at the Tulsa Convention Center. I remember we joined a group of Kelly faculty and Kelly and Central High School students outside the buildings with signs that basically expressed the opinion that Governor Wallace should just go back to Alabama. I mention this as it clearly shows Alfre has a long-held belief about social justice and basic human rights. She learned these values from her family and community at a young age, and they have stuck with her. Subsequently, of course, Alfre has achieved a marvelous career on stage, on television, and in the movies. She has touched countless people through her wonderful artistic talent. But she has not forgotten her core values. In fact, she has used her fame and fortune to continue the fight for human rights and social justice, not just in the United States, but in the world. So while it has been her acting ability that has largely brought her here tonight, I would suggest her lifelong efforts on behalf of those less fortunate than her also truly justify her induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame.
Born and raised in Tulsa, Alfre Woodard is the youngest of 3 born to Constance and Marion H. Woodard. With husband Roderick Spencer, Alfre is the proud mother of 2 extraordinary children, Duncan and Mavis. Following graduation from Boston University, her first on-screen break came in Remember My Name with Jeff Goldblum in 1978. She earned Emmy Awards for her performances in L.A. Law, Hill Street Blues, and Miss Evers' Boys, for which she also earned an NAACP Image Award, SAG Award, and a Golden Globe. She received an Academy Award for her work in Cross Creek and has starred in numerous feature films, including Down in the Delta, directed by Maya Angelou, Grand Canyon, Passion Fish, Love and Basketball, Miss Firecracker, Beaupaw, The Family That Prays, and the soon-to-be horror classic, Annabelle. Recently on the small screen, she played Ruby Jean Reynolds on HBO's True Blood and appeared this season on TNT's The Last Ship. Alfre earned a stunning 17th Emmy nomination, playing Ouiser Boudreaux in the remake of Steel Magnolias, and portrayed Mistress Shaw in 12 Years a Slave, named Best Picture at the 2014 Oscars. She currently stars in NBC's State of Affairs as the President of the United States. Her relationship with Nelson Mandela began in 1987 when she played Winnie Mandela in HBO's Mandela. She later directed the audiobook version of Nelson Mandela's favorite African folk tales that earned a Grammy nod. A lifelong activist, she was appointed to the President's Committee on Arts and the Humanities by President Barack Obama. She works with several underperforming public schools that have flourished under the Turnaround Arts Program and has traveled with a delegation of film artists to Iran and East Africa with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Alfre co-founded Artists for a New South Africa, a nonprofit working to reverse the spread of HIV/AIDS and further the cause of democracy and human rights in South Africa. She recently was in Haiti shooting the PBS documentary A Path Appears, which investigates gender-based oppression. Alfre Woodard has used her talents not only to entertain, but to exemplify what's possible when we open our hearts and minds and step up to the plate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present, for introduction to the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Alfre Woodard.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you, Patrick. If you guys only knew what we were doing in 1968. Who among the Bishop Kelly faculty would have imagined us here tonight? I have some Kelly friends here. Remember Resist Administration? There was a campaign that we launched in high school. And perhaps there are people in this very room that can identify with that slogan. But I digress. I am very proud of you, Patrick. I am a storyteller, and I am awed and humbled to be in the company of you, Ms. Wanda Jackson, and the rest of my fellow inductees. I must say, when my assistant Kim said they want to induct you into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, I said, what? And then I said, why? She said, I don't know. Then she said, maybe everybody else is already in it. So, yeah. But I honestly wondered, why me? And I was driving along, well, actually I was stuck in traffic. That's my second job in LA. And it hit me that only a small part of this acknowledgement is really about me. I've been smiling with memories ever since I realized that. It's really about my father, M.H. Woodard, and my mother, Constance Robertson Woodard. The reason I am here tonight is to speak their names in this gathering. They planted the seed of humanity in me, and it gave me artistic as well as personal freedom. They didn't say, go out and conquer or go and accumulate. They just said, go, do it, see it, be yourself. Fill yourself all the way up, Alfre, and never, ever forget your neighbor. My daddy especially opened up my mind to understand that my neighborhood stretched across town, across the state, the nation, and across borders. He taught me from my first language that privilege was an absolute partnership with responsibility. My mother's people are lovely, but they're Texans. So we won't talk about them tonight. The Woodards' roots are sunk deep in Lincoln County. My father's people were landowners, and during desperate times in this land, he helped his mom fill the buckets and cups of white men, as well as black and red men passing through down on their luck. People refer to them as hobos, to which his mother would reply, "That's not a hobo, that's somebody's daddy. That's somebody's brother." This is a time when black boys could be easily strung up for even a minor perceived offense. MH's mantra to his little girl was, "Babe, never look up to any man. And babe, don't you ever look down on any man." Perspective was my father's great gift to me. The practical reason I left Oklahoma was to study acting, but as an artist I discovered my real reason was to be in the world, to stand with those who work towards a world in which no child goes to bed hungry or dies starving, in which no young person comes of age without a viable education and the opportunity to bring their gifts forward to the healing of this nation, a world in which no young life is deemed less valuable under the law, and where no person working full-time takes home a paycheck that rests on the poverty line. That is the spirit with which I left Oklahoma at 17, and it is the spirit in which I have lived my life, mainly in defense of justice and absolutely in support of the common good. Those Oklahoma values demanded that I actively engage in the anti-apartheid movement. My Oklahoma sense of decency has fueled my work for the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights. And because I hail from pioneer women whose physical and mental strength was essential to the organizing and building of this land, I could never for an instant believe that a woman was not fully capable of governing the city, the state, the nation, and her own affairs. Besides irreverence, my mother, the Texan, did give me this: when somebody is telling the truth, you never let them stand alone. I am a daughter of North Tulsa. Tonight, through me, you honor a host of Oklahomans whose heart, grit, perseverance, intelligence, perception, and faith are always close to my thoughts and my actions. They inform my work. Mrs. Oliver, Mrs. Hendricks, Mrs. Batson, Mrs. King, Mrs. Harrison, Ms. Lewis, Mrs. Taliaferro. Back then, the best and brightest black women taught school. That's where the ceiling was. Today, they would be sitting in the Senate. They would be sitting on corporate boards. But they stood before us at Ralph J. Bunch Elementary School and at Marian Anderson Junior High School. They looked at us and they expected things of us. And when people do that, you deliver. At Cali, Brother Patrick O'Brien fired up my love for film and that it could be a powerful tool in the healing of mankind. And Sister Rachel Ann Graham helped me to understand that I was an actor. The Magic Empire Council of Girl Scouts reached across the color line and opened my heart to sisterhood and camping. My tribe, the Woodards, the Robertsons, They gave me a mighty family tree that could withstand with laughter and with joy whatever gale force and fresh hell might come upon us. For all of them and for your kindness to me, the Oklahoma Heritage Foundation and the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, I am eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
So last year, Gary England was here from Channel 9, so let me give you a Channel 4 rant real quick, okay? Blake Shelton, who we're backstage with, talking about trying to get his name on the water tower in Ada, right? Like Toby Keith and more. It should just be that way, right? But on Monday night, you had The Voice with Blake Shelton. Prior to that, on Monday night on NBC. Right after that, you have Alfre Woodard in State of Affairs. And right after that, you have the K4 News with Linda Cavanaugh. So those three people are all here tonight representing your local NBC affiliate. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, our final presenter is Larry Large, and he's larger than life from Ada. Larry is a retired educator. He has taught, coached, and served as administrator in schools in Oklahoma and Tennessee. And get this, he is also the former merchandise manager for a gentleman named Blake Shelton. Pretty good gig. Please welcome to the stage Larry Large, who's bigger than life.
Good evening, everyone. I've always heard that life is a series of adjustments. Life has a lot of ups and downs. I personally, speaking from experience, have never known anyone who has had to adjust to the ups and downs like your next inductee. I recall many times when Blake could have said, this isn't going to happen. Might as well go back home. Blake moved to Nashville right out of high school. He was 17 years old. After spending some time with him looking for an apartment, buying some used furniture, which is a story in itself, and celebrating his just 18th birthday, it was time for myself and my wife Carol to return back to Oklahoma. I'll never forget what Blake said that day, that morning that we left. He said, "Wait a minute, you can't leave me here. I don't know anyone," and he didn't. And besides that, I can't drive in this big city. But he made it. I often wondered at that point how many 18-year-olds from such a small town and that age would have the courage to tough this thing out. And wow, my hat's off to him. But it wasn't really until after we left to come back to Oklahoma that this long journey of working toward a goal of becoming a country music singer 8 years later, and if anybody says, "Oh, we're going to go down there and become a star," that doesn't happen, trust me. He finally signed a recording contract, did an album, and released the first song to radio. Some of you may remember this. The song was called Austin. And it started showing some success. And right in the middle of this came a huge downer. You ready for this? When the label folded and left him stranded. Pretty tough. He got a little confused and said, this looks like it's going to end right when it's trying to begin. Then came a gigantic upper. Warner Brothers took over his contract, promoted the song, and it went to #1 in the nation for 5 consecutive weeks. I've always been an educator, proud of that fact. If I had to teach a class, Coach Cole can relate to this, on determination and that attitude of never give up, I'd use Blake's journey as an example. I don't have time to share all the ups and downs here. It would take us a while. but I can tell you firsthand there's been many, 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 many of them. And he always comes out, as you'll see here in a minute, with a big smile and a hug. When Blake asked me to do this, we were in Wrigley Field in Chicago, and I obviously was quite surprised, but at the same time really honored. And because he could ask Adam Levine or anybody else he wanted to ask, but for whatever the reason, he chose me. From his move to Nashville in 1994 to present day, Blake has grown and has reached the goal of being a country music singer, has continued to set new goals, many of them already accomplished, as you're about to see now.
Born in Ada, Country Music Association's 5-time Male Vocalist of the Year, Blake Shelton cannot remember a time when he did not love country music. With the encouragement of the legendary Mae Boren Axton, among others, at the age of 17 and just 2 weeks following his high school graduation, Shelton made the move to Nashville. Since that time, he has realized the kind of success few artists have known. A Grand Ole Opry member since 2010, he has garnered awards for Album of the Year, Vocal Event of the Year, Male Video of the Year, Favorite Country Male Artist, and Entertainer of the Year. His single, My Eyes, made history with the most consecutive #1s on the country charts, marking his 17th overall and 12th consecutive. His passion for country music and need to mentor others resulted in his selection as a coach on The Voice, now in its 7th season, and he spikes the ratings on every morning, daytime, evening, and late-night talk show he appears on. In 2011, he married longtime girlfriend and country superstar Miranda Lambert. Although their schedules keep them on the road much of the year, they call a ranch outside Tishomingo home. Shelton supports many organizations benefiting Oklahomans, including Project Rebuild, and following the 2013 May tornadoes, organized a star-studded benefit concert, raising more than $6.5 million through the Healing in the Heartland Relief Benefit Concert. Planted firmly in his Oklahoma roots, Shelton's most recent album features the water tower of his hometown. Ada's Blake Shelton is proud to be an Oklahoman.
I'm gonna take a moment here and update that video just a little bit. This week he now has 18 #1s and 13 consecutive in a row. Yeah. On behalf of Blake's family, whom many of them are here tonight, his friends, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you my buddy that I'm so proud of, Mr. Blake Shelton.
You're the reason God made Oklahoma. That was awesome. That was great. That's so good. Wow. Let me get my little clips off here. Man, when I got my fall schedule for The Voice this year, it's always like last minute when we get these schedules. And man, we got the schedule, and it was only like a month ago, and it landed literally right over the top, right in the middle of this event. And I mean, I did what any television personality would do. I threw a freaking fit and to the network, and I was like, I got to be there that day. I'm going to be there. Y'all can reschedule the shows or whatever. And it was a standoff for a few days, and finally, I got an email from the vice president of NBC, and it was like one of those messages. It's like, man, congratulations on your induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, and then he went on to remind me of my contract. with NBC and how much they were paying me to be there. So needless to say, I woke up this morning in L.A., and I'm going to wake up there again tomorrow morning. But thank you, NBC, for at least giving me this night. Already read that part. Perfect. I don't know what to say on something like this. I mean, this is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and it's a big deal to me. But before I let it slip by, today is the anniversary of the day that I lost my brother 24 years ago today, and it's a heavy day, and it's a tough day for all of us in my family, and my mom, my sister's back there, and there's a little part of me that thinks somehow my brother is up there, and he's like, hey, he had something to do with this day. Like, maybe we can induct Blake into the Hall of Fame on this day, and they won't think about it. But nice try, Richie. We don't forget about you. You know, from the time I was a teenager, that's when I really got into country music. I mean, really big time, and I paid attention to everything about it and every artist. And one of the things that I always noticed that I thought was really cool was artists from Texas. You almost knew that they were from Texas before you even knew who they were. I mean, there was this pride about Texas and Texans, and it was just always, you know, in your face. And I liked that. I thought it was so cool. And I always promised myself that if I ever got the opportunity, I was going to be that guy for Oklahoma. And so, hopefully I did. But I remember when I started thinking about that today on the way here. By the way, I just thought on the way here today, I was like, oh crap, I probably got to talk at this thing. So that's why, I mean, literally, look at this pile of crap I have here. So I started thinking about that today, and I thought back to when I really first realized I had that opportunity to talk about being from Oklahoma, and it was what Larry was talking about whenever Austin first came out, and I had my first big interview with some magazine. I can't remember what the magazine was, but so I walked into this room and sat down, and this lady asked me a few questions, and she eventually said, tell me what it was like growing up as a kid in Oklahoma. And I was ready. I said, well, man, when I was a kid, you know, I spent most of my time outdoors. And I mean, when I say most of my time, I mean, I went in the house to sleep. I remember my dad put an intercom system on the outside of our house. This is not a lie, to call me back to the house when it was dinner time. It was on his CB base station. Flip over to intercom, Blake, get your ass back. So I told her, I said I was always outside, and in the summertime, you know, I was looking for crawdads and catching lizards and turtles and locusts, and then when the fall came around, I remember when I was a kid, for extra money for Christmas, we used to go out and pick pecans. I mean, you went and got a bucket of pecans, and you took it to the producer or whatever, and they weighed it, and you got $5 or whatever, and that was a big deal. And then when the springtime came around, I remember, you know, we were always going out looking for morel mushrooms. Does anybody in here even know what morel mushrooms are? Okay. I'm not talking about getting high. You actually fry these and eat them. And so I told this lady that, and she said, okay, well, so tell me how you became interested in being a singer and an entertainer. And I remember I said, did you not hear what I just said? What the hell else was there to do in Oklahoma? I was out picking freaking pecans and looking for mushrooms in the springtime. Of course I was going to pick up the guitar and learn how to play. And so that's what I did. But I never really felt like I had a good answer for that question. Like, where does that drive come from? Why did I want to be an entertainer? And where does it come from? And I've thought about it a lot over the years, and I finally decided that, at least for me, I was kind of molded. I kind of took little parts from the people that I surrounded myself with growing up, and my family, and the people that are here tonight. I took a little piece from all of them. The greatest entertainers in the world. That man that just introduced me tonight, Larry Large, who is a high school whatever principal, something, one of the levels. The craziest things in the world happened, and still happens to that man. And I remember growing up, being around him, hearing all these stories. And I got to tell, well, I'm probably going to screw this up, but he always told me these stories, and I would just like live through him. And he told me years ago, he and his wife Carol and another couple friends of theirs, went down to Broken Bow, Oklahoma for the weekend, which already raises questions. I mean, you know, and no offense. I'm sorry, no offense. But they spent a few days in Broken Bow, and then they decided it was time to go back to Ada. And on the way back to Ada, Larry and his friend saw this like old general store, this old place on the side of the road, and they decided, man, we want to pull in there and look at that place and get a soda pop and something to eat. And so they went in, and the girls decided to stay in the car because this place looked gross. And so Larry and his friend go in the place, and they start visiting and cutting up with the guy, and they find out they really like this guy that has the place, and they get to talking to him, and he has this old 10-gauge shotgun in the place, and they get to this plan together. They start talking. Hey, let's do this. Will you get that gun down, and we're going to start screaming and yelling in this place, and we're going to run out the door, and you're going to run out behind us and act like, you're mad at us, and you're going to shoot at us, and it's going to freak our wives out. It's going to be awesome. So they got this plan together, and this is what I'm told. So Larry and his friend, they come running out of this building, and they're screaming. And they get down the steps, and by then this is what I'm told, that Carol and her friend, like they're like down below the dash, or like, oh Jesus Christ, what? And so they're running out, and then the owner comes out, and he has the shotgun. He says, "You little son of a," and he shoots in the air. And Larry and his friend get in the car, and as they're getting in the car, and the joke's over, right? Except for out on the highway, a trucker thinks he just witnessed a robbery. And he's swerving, and he ends up in the ditch, and he crashes down in the bar ditch. And Larry, just if you want to know what kind of guy he is, they got in their car and they sped away because they didn't want to be responsible. They didn't want to be responsible for any damages or anything. That's Larry. See, that's the kind of guy I was around that told me this. A young child hearing this stuff. Carol's another entertainer. Carol is very talented. Carol has the ability to say the alphabet. And when I say I don't mean A, B, C, D, E, F, G. She can say the alphabet in one word. She says the word, you pick a letter, say it. Just say it, come on. Okay, she sucked right then. But at some point tonight, get her attention and say, man, say the alphabet in one word for me. And you pick out a letter, I don't care if it's Z, if it's X, whatever it is, you're going to hear that letter. And where's my family? Where's the table? Here they are back here. Yeah. My sister's very talented too. My sister is freakishly double-jointed. And, you can imagine, she can actually take her finger and push it all the way to the back of her hand. And it's so gross and awesome at the same time. I mean, imagine as a kid, trying to play mercy with your sister, and you're the boy, and you can never beat her. She's just like, oh, that don't hurt. That doesn't hurt. trying to build up my family here for y'all. My brother-in-law, Mike Contrary, I'm still not real sure what he does for a living. I think it's something in insurance or something, but I just want to say that he's a great dad. He's a great man, and he has mastered the art of insulting people. That's a talent. That's a talent, and I don't care what it is. If you've got a broken leg, if you just had a kidney removed, he's going to make fun of you about it. And it's going to be a good one. It's always going to be a good one. Miranda. We still haven't really found anything that Miranda's good at yet, but we're working on it. I'm kidding. Miranda's very famous, you guys. My mom is a hairstylist or used to be a hairstylist and was for like 35 or 50 years or something. I inherited two things from my mom. I inherited the ability to sing. She's a great singer. And I inherited my laugh from my mom. I mean, because people from the show realize, it's like this loud. And Mom has the same, and she probably is not going to do it for us right now. Can you give us one, Mom? Just a good, yeah, it's like a, you've heard somebody step on a chicken before on accident. That's what Mom sounds like. And my stepdad, Mike Shackelford's back there, and he's a fighter. And, man, I tell you what, this guy back here has whipped every man's ass in Pontotoc County at some point in his life. But the interesting thing, everybody he's ever beaten up is either dead or they've moved away somewhere where you can never contact them ever again, and you can never actually get their side of the story. But apparently he was a tough SOB. And then my stepmom, Terry, is here tonight. She's sitting at that same table back there, and she's literally the sweetest, most innocent, quiet. She has actually never even had a beer or been to a bar until she married my dad. And then, so she's very talented, and that's weird that you're with our bunch now. And I'm not going to make a big sad thing about this, but it's anytime something like this happens for me, I can't help but think about my dad and my brother and wish they were both here tonight. They were the two best entertainers of my life, but there's still a handful of us left, and my sister keeps making more, so there's still coming out. So we're getting back to fighting level that y'all were talking about. This is so bad, isn't it? Get over it. And I also wanted to say how cool it is to be from a state where my heroes that I looked up to growing up, almost all of them, and this is by accident, almost all of them were from Oklahoma. They were Oklahomans. Vince Gill and Garth Brooks and James Garner, Will Rogers, all these guys. It's like, oh my gosh, everybody that I think is cool is from here. It gives you hope. Toby Keith, and I got to say, Toby Keith was really good to me early on in my career. He took me out on tour for a year and a half, and he didn't have to do that. I really sucked then, and he kept me going. And what can you say about Reba? I mean, Reba is literally one of the reasons I'm standing here. She's welcomed me into her family, and I love her so much. Besides being a hero, I hope everybody in here gets a chance to meet her one day. It's special. And let me just say this, and I'll be done here, I promise. Because it's truly something special. I heard Linda say this earlier, wherever Linda is, that it is something, there's something special about Oklahoma. There really is. I'm not just saying that because I'm standing here, and there's something extra special about being from here and being an Oklahoman. And it's not something that I can explain. I don't know that it's something that any of us can really explain. It just is. And, you know, because of what I do for a living, I've gotten to travel everywhere. I mean, if it's in North America, I have been there, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and it's been amazing. I've seen some awesome things, and I know how lucky I've been to get to do that. But I think the most important thing that I've learned from traveling so much is I'm not special because I'm a celebrity. I'm special because I'm an Oklahoman. And I just want to say that someday when this all dies down, and it's going to, no doubt about it, if y'all need me for anything, I'll be down in Johnston County, Oklahoma, picking pecans and looking for mushrooms, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Blake Shelton. He go to OSU?
I don't think so.
Wow. Blake Shelton.
With the induction of these 7 Oklahomans, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame now boasts 669 members.
That's worth applause.
On behalf of the Oklahoma Heritage Association, its officers, its directors, and its staff, congratulations to each of you for receiving our state's highest honor.
Good job. Another year under our belts, and we want to thank everyone who played a role in making this night so spectacular. And now to offer congratulations on behalf of the state of Oklahoma, please welcome Governor Mary Fallin.
Well, thank you, Burns and Mike. What a great evening it's been. It's just truly been amazing. And Blake, you're right. Oklahoma is a very special place, and what makes Oklahoma so special is our people. I'm very proud of our people. This night always makes me prouder to be an Oklahoma. Linda Cavanaugh, a great ambassador, Oklahoma ambassador of goodwill, thank you for all that you do for our great state. Bestowing our state's highest honor is not only an action taken lightly by the 7 extraordinary men and women who are inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame tonight, who have used their talents and their resources to make Oklahoma a place for all of us. They have exceeded all of our expectations, even exceeded their own expectations. Harold Holden, thank you for sharing your talent and capturing the West and the cowboy way of life through sculpture and painting. Your pieces are timeless and putting on a display of our rich history and heritage for all of us to enjoy. Wanda Jackson, not only have you given us great music, but literally you broke the glass ceiling of entertainment industry for female entertainers who have all followed after you, all while raising a family and staying very close to your Oklahoma roots. And Neal McCaleb, you have spent your entire career balancing public service and private enterprise. You have shown us the importance of following one's dream, and at the same time, the responsibility each of us have to serve one another and to serve those around us. And to Tom McCasland, your dedication and love for your hometown is admirable. You have ensured citizens access to the high standard of health care, the arts, and industry, and you have made an investment that will benefit so many generations of Oklahomans to come. And Blake Shelton, what an entertainer. Wow. You have brought such great pride and attention to our state and to Ada, making those outside our borders envy what it means to be an Oklahoman. You wear your Oklahoma pride like a badge of honor for all to see. I appreciate you and your wife, Miranda Lambert, for all that you do for the state of Oklahoma. Thank you for being here tonight. And Peggy Stephenson, your generosity has enhanced higher education for students and made valuable life-saving medical advances through the Stephenson Cancer Center. Your volunteerism has strengthened a wide range of organizations and the needs that they satisfy. Thank you for all that your family has done for Oklahoma. And Alfre Woodard, wow. You've employed your talents on and off the screen not only to entertain, but to educate and to make a significant difference. And you have shown us with success comes a responsibility to use your gifts to be able to help others and to change the lives of those that may be less fortunate. Thank you, Alfre. We appreciate you. And to the class of 2014 Oklahoma Hall of Fame, congratulations to all of you. Our heritage is by far the most dynamic of any state in the Union. As Oklahomans, we have an incredible resolve that we have seen through our darkest days and the pioneer spirit that has allowed us to achieve some of the greatest things. We as Oklahomans are unique. We are strong. We are tender. We are proud to call ourselves Oklahomans. So may God bless each of you tonight. May God bless Oklahoma, and may God bless America. Thank you for being here tonight.
This broadcast of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame is made possible by the Oklahoman, Tulsa World, and the Lawton Constitution.